I'm going to show you how you can scrape any website in n8n step by step. When building out AI automation, scraping is one of the most important functionalities. It allows you to grab information from the internet. So let's say a company wants to monitor how much their products are being sold for on different retailers. For example, you might have like an iPhone being sold on Best Buy, or in this example, this shoe from the brand Geox, and they're being sold by John Lewis, which is a big department store in the UK, right? So over here, we have this product page, and you can scrape any page on the internet. So whatever information you need, you can use it within this automation. So we have these pair of shoes here, which are selling for £49.95. They have multiple colors, etc., etc. And we can essentially pass this website into our n8n scraper over here. So I just want to go grab the link. So we have the n8n scraper over here, and it can go and grab any details you want and then put it into a Google Sheet. In this instance, you can put that information anywhere, whether you want to put it in a CRM, into a whole nother website that you might have made with like Lovable, and then you're connecting this as a backend. There's like hundreds of different things you can do while scraping information off the website, because it's just information, right? So what we're doing is we're scraping all the information from the website, such as, let's say if I flick back, you'll get the price, the name of the product, the sizes that they offer. It'll also get all the product descriptions, for example, the lightweight, low cut information there, and all the brand information as well, like Geox and all that. Everything on the web page, it will go and grab it. And what we're going to go do then is, it's a lot of information to sift through, and we don't want to have to look through the whole web page to pick out the data we want. So that's where AI comes in. So all that information gets passed to this AI model over here. And what we're asking this AI model to do is we want the price, the brand, and the model of the item, right? So, and we're asking it to put it in JSON, which I'll explain in a bit. And it will go and grab all this information and then put it into our Google Sheet over here. So I've run this a few times. So you can see the brand is Geox, the model is the I Feel Leather Low Cut trainers in navy and white. And then here's the price exactly like you saw on the web page. So how exactly does all of this work? Well, all this magic's done in n8n to go and get you all this information really well refined, right? Right now, we've just got a simple execution, click to execute node out here. This is our trigger to this automation. So when you click execute workflow, this will go through here. How you can get that is you click this plus icon in the top right. So you go here and you add this manual trigger. So you can only add one into workflow. I already got one here, but essentially you go and add a manual trigger into here. And you don't need to set this up in any way. You just put it at the start of your n8n automation. And this second node here is where we actually go and scrape the web page. We're using a tool called Bright Data to do this. They have a great free plan if you're worried about how much it's going to cost. And essentially it's set up as a API key in n8n. And this is something you should really be looking to learn if you're looking to build out automations within these tools. Setting up an API is one of the most important skills. This is exactly how you can set up this API within n8n, and you can apply this amongst a whole host of APIs. All of these little nodes are APIs, but like this is covered by like a Google Sheets wrapper, for example, so it's easy for you to use the API for Google Sheets. All these nodes here are APIs. So there's just another API calling ChatGPT here, another API contacting Google Sheets over here. This one's just done manually, right? Because Bright Data, I don't think, as far as I know, have a node. Yeah, let me check. Bright. Oh, they do have a node. Wow. So let me see if I can actually use this. I had a look at this node, and it looks more complicated to set up than just doing a simple API key. So I'm going to show you that way, and that way is more robust in case something doesn't have a n8n node. This is exactly how you can integrate it within your workflow. You can learn more about how to do that. So let me show you. So the first thing you need to do is make a HTTP request, right? So you go over here and you type in HTTP request, and you click on one of these modules, right? And I know this might look a little scary at first, but really with API requests, you have a few options. Normally you're using a get option or a post option, and the API that you're going to use will tell you exactly which one you should use. With authentication, the URL that you actually want to go and call, this will be the API URL. Again, I'm going to explain this in a minute. And headers and bodies and all of this. The cool thing about n8n is they have this functionality called import CCURL, and most APIs will just give you a CURL, basically. With this CURL, you can just go and paste it all into here. Right now, I don't have it on. And then if you just click import, n8n will go and create the whole API for you within n8n. So I'm going to show you exactly how that works. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to Bright Data, and you're going to want to go to the Web Unlocker API. How you can get access to this is you just type in Bright Data Web Unlocker into Google. Then go and click the Web Unlocker API and it opens this page over here. And then you can click Start Free Trial, Start Free with Google, whatever you prefer. You don't need a credit card to start. This will give you a limited number of tokens. I can't exactly remember how many, but it gives you a limited number of tokens where you can start to play around with this. And then if you like it, and it's great, it unlocks pretty much every single website I've ever tried to scrape using this tool. So that's why we use this one. Once you've gone and you've created your free account, you should come to a page that kind of maybe looks like this. Where you need to go is to proxies and scraping. And just a little bit more information on Bright Data before I go into exactly how to integrate the scraper into your n8n. Bright Data is an amazing tool that you can use to scrape any website. They have sponsored a video in the past, but this one's not sponsored. I just really like their product. I have a link in the description too, if you want to use it. I think it'll give you a few extra credits for free. They have this whole marketplace of so many different scrapers that you can use. TikTok scrapers, ChatGPT scrapers, you can extract search results and citations, Instagram.com, X.com, and they have so many different scrapers that you can use to extract information from any website you want, whether it's hard to extract or easy to extract, you can go and do it. So some of these scrapers here will give you specific information in like a neat and formatable way. Whereas what we're going to use is a scraper that's generic for every single site. Our scraper here, you can use as like a general one. And then if you're specifically scraping something that, you know, is super niche, then you can use these scrapers over here. What we're going to do is we're going to go over here to proxies and scraping. You won't see these. These are my existing scrapers that I've already set up in the past. But essentially, you'll see this, which is the Unlocker API. And this is the exact one that we're going to be using. And it's really cool because it's automated scraping for the hardest sites, right? It can scrape Amazon.com, which is notoriously hard, Booking.com, amongst so many others, right? So if we're going to go to Unlocker API and click Create Zone, and over here, I've already got Web Unlocker 1, so that's why it's made up Web Unlocker 2. For you, that might be Web Unlocker 1. You don't need to fill in anything else. I have this premium domain setting. I just turn it on. It might already be turned off. Essentially, it allows you to scrape websites on this list that Bright Data find a little bit more tricky to scrape, therefore they charge a bit more for it. I just turn it on because I want it to scrape whatever I want it to scrape, but obviously you can leave that on or off depending on your preference. And just for costs, right? So the default cost is $1.50 per 1,000 websites. So if I go to my calendar over here, I do $1.50 divided by 1,000. So here it's however many dollars this is per website, or if you're going to try and make it easier, per 100 websites, that's 15 cents. So it's relatively inexpensive. I see a lot of people using this other tool called Firecrawl. This is a Bright Data competitor. It's just a little bit more expensive when you're trying to do it with fewer requests. For example, in the hobby plan, this is a lot more expensive than the pay-as-you-go plan with Bright Data. Now, once you've set this all up, you just click add over here, and this will go and add this scraper to your Bright Data account. To the proxies and scraping page, I already have Web Unlocker 1. I'm not going to add a Web Unlocker 2, but it will look exactly like this. And now this is where you can go and add the actual API into n8n. So I'm going to click on this. Here we are on our Web Unlocker. So this is where you can access the actual API. It comes with all the information you need. I remember I was talking to you about the curl information over here. This is exactly where it is, right? You've got all this curl information. All you need to do, and it's so simple, is you just click copy over here, and you go over to this page, and you go to n8n, which is over here. You open up the HTTP request we just made, import curl, and then paste the curl in. I'm not going to paste it in here because you'll be able to see my API key, and then you might be able to use that to scrape your own websites using my credits, which I don't want to do. But so I just pasted all the information in, and as you can see here, the URL's been filled in, the method's been filled in, the authorization's been filled in. I've just blurred it out again because I don't want to show my API key online. And then it fills everything else in for you, right? And the only thing you need to change here is the URL. Right, this is the website you're going to be scraping. This is the main variable that you need to change. So we have the value over here. If we just click this and we click backspace, and now let's try and scrape this page that we initially mentioned here, this John Lewis Geox shoe page, right? So I'm going to copy the link from up here. You won't be able to see that, but I'm copying the link essentially. And then I flick back to n8n. n8n, I click paste over here, right? And then I click execute step just to test it. So this will have the API go and do its thing. It will go to this web page and it will go and execute this node, right? And hopefully we should get all the information we need about this website. And here we are, right? It's in a language called HTML. This is basically what websites are built on. It's computer language. Computers can read HTML really nicely. It's a bit harder for humans to read it, but as you can see here, the title of that page is Geox leather low-cut trainers in navy/white, and you can see it's scraping the correct page, right? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. This one's kind of a pro tip when you are using data scrapers, and that is this data over here is super long, right? It keeps going on and on and on and on. And this is really bad when you're trying to pass it into an LLM. The reason why it's really bad is because when you scrape data and it's super long, AI only has a certain context limit that it can use, and also it just rinses the tokens that you use within your AI API calls. So if you don't know about this, how AI works and how they charge you is based on your usage. So if you're using ChatGPT within these automations, you're going to need to create a ChatGPT API account, which I'll go into more information in a bit. But essentially, the more words you give it and the more words it gives out to you, the more it's going to charge you. That's how their pricing model works. So if you're going to pass in like a cajillion different words from this right side, it's going to cost you a lot to scrape this information and then have ChatGPT sift through it to find what you need. So what data scrapers have is that you can ask for the format in a way that's more sensible, like Markdown or in plain text. There are loads of different ways you can get the data, right? And most data scrapers have this, but not a lot of people know about this. They just pass all this information into the LLM, basically. So if you go to Bright Data, right, and let me flick to the right page, they always have this thing called documentation. All APIs have documentation, and you can sift through this to find any functionality you need. For example, this data scraper has so many different functionalities. You can pick which country you want the scraper to access the website from. For example, if some websites are like only geo-targeted country specific, for example. So there are so many different ways you can edit this API to meet your data scraping requirements. But what we want to do, right, in this Web Unlocker API is we want to have it so it only gives us the information in what's called Markdown. So as you can see here, scrape as Markdown. Web Unlocker able to live convert your pages from HTML to Markdown. HTML is what we were getting before, and we want it in Markdown. This makes it easier to feed your LLM training system. For example, that's exactly what we're using it for. We're feeding it to an LLM. To activate this feature we're looking for when using the API, we want to add a data format as Markdown. Now, again, if you don't want to understand how this all works, you could just use the HTTP API. You can see the curl information over here. You just copy it, paste it into, just add your API key in, and you could just paste it all into n8n. But I want you to understand how you can actually configure an API with an n8n without just using the copy curl function, because it's a little bit cheating, right? So if we go over to my completed scenario, so this was the original HTTP request. I just showed you how to set it up live. But here's the HTTP request, right? And we have headers over here. We have a body over here, right? And if I flick back to Bright Data, hopefully this is the right page, it is, right? You can see it says data format, use a header when using native or set data format Markdown when using API, right? And we can see over here, we have -h, which is our header, where we can see the authorization over here. So if I flick back to n8n, you can see under the header value here, we have authorization, right? And then under the body content, as you can see, we have the zone. So if I click back to our web scraper, let me put it right next to n8n, so you can see in our body over here, we have the zone. The URL will also be within the body. If I flick back over here, the URL will, the format. So if we click over here, we can see the format is set to raw. You can see there's a pattern forming, right? Within the information, within what they give you within the API request and what is shown in n8n when you imported the curl, you can see there's a pattern, right? And the last thing is data format as Markdown, right? So what you need to do, this has already been added in, this won't be here for you, right? So you need to go and click add parameter like this. You need to go back to your web page. You need to copy data format and you need to paste this into here. And then you need to go to value and you need to paste in Markdown, right? I've already done it, so I'm going to delete this one, but essentially that's how you do it. And this will allow and modify the way your API works. So it'll only return the information to you in Markdown. This is a bit more technical, but it's super valuable to know when you're setting up APIs within n8n. And now just to show you exactly how this works, again, it's the exact same website, the Geox shoes essentially. I'm going to click execute step just so you can see what the output looks like when we call this API. So let it execute this node. You can see here, there's a lot less text. I'm not scrolling for an eternity to get all the information, but it has everything we need, right? So it has the title right over here. And it has all the different information. You won't be able to read this, but an AI will, because it understands how Markdown works for a web page. So this is a much more efficient way to have AI look through your data to find whatever information you want. For example, in our instance, it's the brand, the model, and also the price. Okay, so now this HTTP request has been executed. Let me just open this. So we're getting it all nice and neatly in a great format that's used for LLMs. Now, the next step is to have ChatGPT pick out exactly want to extract from the information. So that's why we put this message a model from ChatGPT. How you can do this is you just type in OpenAI into this field over here, and then you go down to message a model and it will open this. One of the key things you need to do is connect up your OpenAI account to n8n. I'm going to go on the assumption you already know how to do this. Firstly, this is a super basic thing to do in n8n, and once you do it once, it's done forever. So I don't want to go through every video explaining how to do this. So essentially, you can just go on YouTube, type in how to connect OpenAI to n8n. It'll take you about 2 minutes to figure out how to do it. And you can do that. I obviously have mine already all connected up. After we've done that, then we've got to configure this model, right? Sorry, configure this module, right? The resource we can set to text. The credential you can connect is the credential you previously connected before. And then the operation is, of course, message a model. And then ChatGPT OpenAI have all these different models of ChatGPT, right? So it's up to you to decide which one you want to pick. I highly recommend GPT 4.1 mini. I love the mini models because they are so cheap, yet so good at doing what they need to do. GPT 4.1 is the latest while I'm recording this. I think they have GPT 5 that just came out, but I don't normally use newer models until I've fully tested them because I don't know what output they're going to give. So for now, I stick with GPT 4.1 mini. Okay, and then under messages, we're going to add a prompt, right? And this prompt is probably the most important part of setting up this module over here. And the prompt is super simple, right? So here is the information from a scraped website. Extract the price, brand, and model from the item. Put it in the following JSON format, right? Prompt works is, obviously we're indicating to ChatGPT that here is the information from a scraped website. And all you have to do is drag. You see the HTTP request, the response we're getting from the API with the scraped information in Markdown. Grab this data field and drag it into there and it will be added in, right? And you can see on the right exactly what that's going to look like. So here is the information from the scraped website. And as you can see, it's put all the information from the previous model to give it to ChatGPT, essentially, right? And then we're giving ChatGPT a task, and that is using all this information up here. I want you to extract the price, the brand, and the model of the item, right? That's in this scraped website. And we want to put it in the following JSON format. I'm going to explain exactly why we're going to put it in JSON format in just a minute. It needs to put it in the format that the brand goes here. So this will be Geox, for example. The model will go over here. And the price, which was £49.95, I think, will go over here, right? So we're giving it exactly the way it should respond. And I'm also going to add another section here. Do not say anything else in your response, right? So this way it will just extract the JSON and that's it. I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like once we execute it, right? So we have the data. I'm going to click execute this step. Now ChatGPT is going to go and find all the information for us and then give it to us in this format. So I'm just waiting for it to execute. Now you can see it's executed and this is our output, right? So you can see, if I go down to schema section, you can see we have the content. So the brand is Geox, the model is leather low cut trainer, and then we have the price, right? And if I show it in JSON format, then this is what it looks like. So why we asked it to put it in the following JSON format, right? Is so obviously when we're going to input this into our Google Sheet, we want Geox to be separate, the model to be separate, and the price to be separate. This way we can allocate which column each variable is going to go into, right? So if I flick back to here, now we have brand, model, and price as its own variable because you've asked ChatGPT to put it in the following JSON data, right? And you might be asking, how exactly do I figure out what I should put in the prompt to make sure that it executes it right in the right JSON format? And this is super simple. So you don't actually need to know how to do this because we have great tools like ChatGPT to help us do this. So I'm going to open up ChatGPT and I'm going to ask it to create a JSON format for us, right? So let's work through this together on ChatGPT, and this is what we need to do. So we need to ask it to create the JSON format for us. I want you to create a JSON format for me to give to an LLM to extract from a scraped website, right? So let's say we want to extract the following from a scraped website. Let's say we want to do brand. Let's say we want to do product description. We want to also do price, right? Let's see if it can give it to us. So we ask ChatGPT. Perfect. So we have it over here and it just gave you the JSON format. And here's an example of it filled in. You just click copy and you can paste that into your prompt and it gives it to you. You don't need to know how to write all these squiggly brackets and this weird way of typing, right? So if you're non-technical, that's quite a good way to figure that one out. Now that we got the ChatGPT module figured out, the next step is to append all of this into a Google Sheet so we can add it all in. So let's open up, so type in Google Sheet in the top right over here. You click on this and then we go to append row in sheet. That's the module you need to use. And in this module over here, we have it set up like this. Again, this might look a little bit daunting, but I promise you it's not that complicated. A really basic thing that you need to have set up in n8n is configuring your Google accounts and adding them into n8n. There are, like the ChatGPT OpenAI API, setting that up in n8n. There's like 100 videos on it. I'm just gonna go with the assumption that it's already connected in n8n because most people will have that connected. Again, you can Google this, super simple to do. It'll probably take you 5 minutes to connect up in n8n, and once it's done forever. So you connect up your Google account to n8n. Of course, I have my Google account set up here. And then the resource, we obviously want to do a sheet within document. You need to go into your Google Drive and you need to go and create a sheet, and you need to just put, like, for example, I put brand, model, and price. Those are the 3 things I'm extracting from a web page. Super simple to set up, right? And if I go back to our n8n profile, and obviously the document, you want to pick that. So you go from list, and when you click on this, it will show all the different documents that you have within your Google Drive. You just need to go and select the one. So I've got John Lewis product prices and in focus. That's the web page we're picking of. It's John Lewis's products and prices. And the sheet, you just need to pick which sheet you want it to edit. So of course for us, we've got sheet 1 down here, which is what we're going to use. So that's why we have sheet there. And I obviously forgot the operation. You have a bunch of different things. We just want to put append row into the operation over here. Mapping column mode, we just want to map each column manually. Oh, I clicked that by accident, so it's going to fetch the columns for us. And because we'd already pre-set up our Google Sheet, so we have brand, model, and price, n8n has recognized this, and it's put the brand, model, and price into this section over here. And remember how we separated each section before by making it a JSON format when ChatGPT outputs it? n8n has recognized that it's a JSON format, and it's separated each one of these. So now you just drag this brand thing into the brand one, the model one into the model one, and the price one into the price one. So this way, geops will always be added into the brand, this leather low cut will always be added into there, and then the price will always be added into there. Super, super powerful way of separating each thing that you're receiving from the AI. So amazing. So once you have this module set up, we can run the whole thing from scratch. So let's go execute workflow. I'm going to click that and I'm going to allow it to execute. So first thing it's going to do is go to Bright Data, scrape our web page. Then it's going to go to ChatGPT and it's going to extract all the information we need. And then it's going to go and append the row into our sheet. And that works so smoothly. It's all done successfully. Flick back to our sheet. As you see, there's another row added in, and it's for Geox low-cut trainers at £49.95. And just to prove to you it works, let me go to John Lewis and let me find another pair of shoes. We have this other pair of these shoes here. I'm just picking a random one. Let me copy this link. And if you remember how this automation works, so if I flick back to our automation, this HTTP request is where everything's going to change. P request. And of course, if I go down, the URL is the bit we need to change. So if I paste a new URL into here of the new product that we just selected. So let's take a look at this. This one is the John Lewis Branton Suede ones instead. So I'm just going to do that. And as you can see now, this module's been changed. And just to double check, let's have this web page open. It should be £49.95, same as before, but this should change, right? And if I go and execute the workflow again, it's going to go through. It's going to scrape this new web page that we have. Scrape the new web page, it messaged the model, and it appended the row in the sheet. And let's go take a look at the sheet now. And as you can see, it's grabbed the new set of trainers. Obviously, it's still the same price and the same brand. So you can see it's a super smart automation. Now, this is like more of a proof of concept type. I also want to go one step further and show you how you can apply this in real life, an automation that you might even be able to sell to other people. So, and also like how scraping would work in like a real useful scenario, because this obviously is not very useful. It's just to teach you a simple way on how to use scraping. So that's the first step. Now, just this bottom set over here is a way that not that much more complicated than the top set, but it's actually useful to some people that, you know, might be running a business. So one of the things a lot of people that run businesses do is they want to make sure that their products are priced competitively, right? Their competitors might be trying to undercut them. They might be trying to sell them too expensive, and you've got to understand like a right medium of where and what prices you want to sell things. So I've gone with a really common product, an iPhone. And what I've done is I've put links to all the different companies, mainly in the UK, that sell iPhones. So we have very.co.uk, Argos, John Lewis, Currys, Amazon, and Apple. They all sell iPhones in their own ways, and they all sell them perhaps at different prices. We're going to find out. And essentially, I want to find out what prices each one of these retailers sell iPhones for, right? And I have run this automation before, and as you can see, all it will do is input the retailer name onto the left side, the link of the product that we just used here, and then the prices for all the different iPhones. As you can see, every company, Very to Amazon, all sell the iPhone for £899. However, Apple sells it for £999. As you can see, Apple sell it for £100 more, and all of these other retailers sell it for £100 less. Cool. So how does this automation work, and when would it be useful? So we have a schedule trigger here instead of just a click trigger. So the reason you want to set a schedule trigger is companies normally want to keep on top of this on a continuous basis. So you can set the schedule trigger to however you want. So all this means is every day at 8 a.m., this automation will kick off, and it will go through all these different links over here. It will scrape them, and then it will go and find the prices and input them into this sheet. Now, a human can go through and read the sheet and be like, if I'm working at Apple, all these other retailers selling it for £100 less, maybe I should put my price at £100 less. And they can check this every day and check their prices every day to make sure that their products are competitive. That's why this automation runs every single day. And how you can get the schedule trigger to work is you just go schedule trigger over here, and you can set the interval to whenever you want. So we got interval to be days, you can set it to weeks, months, seconds, depending on how often you want this automation to run. And the days between triggers, so say you want to set it every 5 days, then you'd put 5 over here. If you want to set it every day, then you put 1 over here. Then trigger hour, you can decide what time you want this trigger to go. So you can like 6 a.m. if you want. Then if you want it to be at 6:30, then you can put 6 and then trigger at minute 30, and then that will run at 6:30 every single day. So that is a really handy trigger in n8n. One other thing you should note is you have to flick this automation on for the trigger to run every so often at that frequency. If you don't turn the automation on and keep it active, it won't run. So that's how that works. Then we have a get rows in a sheet module. So again, if I click into this, it's connected to our Google Sheet. And then we want the resource, a sheet within a document. We don't want just a document. We want to grab a sheet, which is specifically this iPhone links sheet. And what we want to do within this iPhone link sheet is we want to grab some rows, right? We want to grab the rows because we want to have all of these rows here so we can scrape them, right? So we're going to get some rows. And the document is obviously our John Lewis products and price and info sheet, and the products and prices document. And then the sheet we want is the iPhone links sheet, which is right down here, right? So once we've configured this, then we just want to grab all the different rows from the sheet. So if I click execute step, for example, you can see the schedule trigger goes, and then we have all the different links within our sheet. n8n automatically knows that there's a column called links, and it goes and grabs all of them from there. Really smart. What we need to do is we need to put these links into our Bright Data API. So I'm going to show you exactly how this is set up. If you remember how we switched the link out in this one, over here. So we switched the link over here. That's exactly what we need to do, but we need to keep this as a variable so it goes through all the different links we need. Another added complexity within this new automation, right? So let me show you exactly how this is configured. The Bright Data page is set up exactly the same as I showed you before. There is just one key change, and that is this section over here. You know the URL section where we changed it before so I could show you with another shoe? Over here, all you need to do is, you know, we got the get the rows in the sheet. We just grab these links and we put them into the value section over here. I'm not going to do it because I've already done it before. And that's it. This way, n8n will go through every single link that's within our Google Sheet and scrape them. So it'll scrape the very one, it'll go scrape Argos, John Lewis, Currys, Amazon, and Apple, and it'll grab all the information we need from here. So it's a really, really smart and intelligent way of going through every single link and scraping numerous different links in one automation run. So you can have like 100 links here, and the automation will go through and scrape all 100 links for you without you having to manually input each and every single one. Then, after we go and get all the scraped information from the HTTP request, then we go to messenger model. And under the messenger model, again, it's set up in a very similar way. We're still using GPT 4.1. The only thing that's changed is the prompt a little. The reason for this is we're only grabbing the retailer and the price because that's all the information we need within here. We only need the retailer information, price information. The link's already coming from back here. So this one will already be put from, you know, the links page. But the price and the retailer will obviously we'll have to grab from the scraped page. So that's why this prompt is different. We see here is an information from a scrape page, extract the retailer and the price for the item, put it in the following JSON format. Again, we just got ChatGPT to generate this JSON format for us. Super simple. How this message a module is set up. And then lastly, we have exactly the same module, append a row in a sheet. Of course, here we're going to select a different sheet. So we have the append a row operation over here. Then on the document, we've got John Lewis product prices. From the sheet, we're going to obviously pick the iPhone prices, not sheet 1 this time. So that's going to be changed. And map each column manually. And let me just click execute previous node so you can see all the different variables that we have set up. Let me just let this run. Okay, cool. So I've let it run, and now we have all the different variables we need from the previous modules. So of course, for retailer, we're going to want to put the retailer from our message a model from ChatGPT. That's going to give us the retailer. We just drag that here. That's super similar to what we did before. And of course, for price, we're also going to want to grab the price that ChatGPT's given us and just drag it into here. Nice. And the last thing we have is the link, right? And the link actually comes from somewhere different, not from ChatGPT. The link will actually come from get rows in a sheet. You'll see this links one over here. So this is every single link that it's going to go through. It's going to put it into the sheet as well, just so we can go through and click through into the link that's been scraped. That's how you set this module up. Nothing else. It's set up exactly the same way as before, right? And now if I click execute, it will probably look the same, but I've deleted all the different items over here, and I'm going to run the automation just to show you exactly how it works. So let's click execute workflow. It's going to go grab all the rows in the sheet. It's going to go through and scrape every single one of those websites. This might take a minute, so I might cut the video. Oh, it didn't actually take that long. Then ChatGPT will go through and extract all the information we need from all those different scraped websites. It's bugged out a little. For some reason, it's stuck on this. But if I flick over to executions, you can see it was actually executed in 18 seconds. I've been sitting here for 3 minutes wasting my time just watching this thing spiral. But essentially, it's been done. And if I flick over to our sheet, as you can see here, it's all been added in, and all the prices are here, all the different retailers are here, and the links are here as well. So this is a super valuable automation, and you can track business prices. Normally, people on YouTube or TikTok show you, kind of like a proof of concept. I want to show you a real business example of how scraping would work. Scraping is such a powerful tool, and the only thing that's limiting the tools you can make from using scraping is your imagination. You can build so many different tools by scraping different websites. It's super, super cool, and it's a real important part of AI automation. So If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, I'd really appreciate if you could interact with it, whether that's to hit a follow, a subscribe, a like. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.